my best ring announcer voice, our next guest needs no introduction anywhere in the civilized world. But he's going to have one because I have the microphone. This gentleman has been one of our strongest supporters here at the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame since its inception. He's played a major role in our first 10 years. Along with his generous donations, he's been involved in both amateur and professional boxing for several years. He is the founder of the Yerrid Foundation, a nonprofit organization that focuses on child-oriented causes. Among the honors he's earned, the Perry Nichols Award, which is the Florida Justice Association's highest honor. Also, he's a winner of the Ted Williams Award for Children's Causes. Please welcome our 2018 keynote speaker, a member of the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2011, Mr. Steve Yerrid.
First, let me thank you all for this honor. It truly is. I usually speak to trial lawyers around the country, and I always tell them the truth. And the truth is, I've never succeeded in anything in life without the help of others. And every time I've failed, it's been all by myself. So if I have a message, the message would be on this 10th anniversary, look around at the people in your lives and appreciate exactly what contributions they make to you. Because I can assure you, if you look hard enough, you're going to find some. I wanted to talk about the people that helped me get in this Hall of Fame, probably undeservedly, but I'll give you a little background. Angelo Dundee, Freddie Pacheco, my dear friend Phil Jr.'s dad, Phil Alessi Sr., Brian Gary, his wife, of course Butch, all these people just reached out with nothing but kindness and gave me this honor. I got in the Hall of Fame for trial lawyers, and I can tell you I don't even think it's close. This one touches my heart. I started fighting when I was 3 years old. My dad taught me. He was a heavyweight champ in the Pacific Theater during World War II. 27 fights, 26 knockouts. He was pretty good. The problem was he started a nightclub, and he began knocking out the wrong people. So my mom and I left when I was 7. He weighed about 215 pounds. I don't know how much I weighed when I was 7, but it wasn't enough to stop him. So I share that with you because I learned to fight early, and I learned to fight well. And I fought pretty much all my life. I'm half Lebanese and half WASP. So when I was in the country in Alum Creek, West Virginia, they called me a camel rider and other derogatory names. So I learned how to fight out there pretty quick because when the school bus would stop, the bus driver who liked me, he'd make the kids line up, so I only had to fight one at a time. And after a while, they didn't fight anymore because they knew I was a scrapper. And when I went in the city, I was called a redneck and other really nice names. And so I had to fight the Greeks and the Italians and the Lebanese kids. So by the time I was, 10 years old, I'd had quite a few fights. I have one of my best friends, probably my best friend in my life here tonight, and we took up boxing because I was a street fighter and I got tired of getting kicked out of school and getting my hands broken. So we decided we were going to take up PAL and try Golden Gloves and see how we did. And I recall that career because it was my last stint as a boxer. So many of you all are champions and so many of you are great fighters, and I'm going to get to you in just a second, but I think you deserve to know a little bit about the roots. And the roots were, he and I, we didn't have any money. We just didn't have any money. I've been poor and I've been rich, and I much prefer being rich. But being poor doesn't mean, that we didn't have riches in our lives. It just meant we didn't have any money. And it's hard to be happy when you don't have a full stomach. But having money doesn't give you happiness. I can assure you of that. I've seen it dissolve many, many families and many relationships. But back to the story, had an amazing run of luck. That's what it was, because I wasn't a great boxer like a lot of y'all. I was just lucky. And I hadn't lost, and I had to go to a prom one night, and I missed my I call him my brother Ron's fight, and he weighed 118 pounds. I know it's hard to believe, but he was in high school. He was our second baseman at playing high school. He weighed 118 pounds. And for the boxing world, it's easy to understand. he took on a 148-pound guy when I wasn't there, and the result, was pretty predictable. I kicked that guy's ass so bad the next week, he's still swollen. And I realized that in boxing, the size of the heart played such a big role. And I will just tell you quickly how my career ended. I was down at the same gym, and we used to train downtown in the police station, and we were on the second floor. And they asked me, I weighed 142, and I didn't have to cut weight. I mean, I weighed 142 pounds in, out of the ring, before the fight, after the fight, I weighed 142 pounds. And they asked me, my fighter didn't show up, so they asked me if I'd fight this 165-pound kid. I said, well, how bad can it be? I hadn't lost. I had 16 fights. I hadn't lost. I said, sure, I'd fight him, because I didn't want to go down there for nothing, right? So out from the dressing room comes this kid with the silk robe. He's shadow boxing. He's got a couple guys with him, and he turns around and says, Tri-State Golden Gloves champ. And I got a little worried because, that was a lot of weight. After the first round, my right eye was closed, and I told him at the corner, I said, you got to put some ice on there. I can't see out of my right eye, which was really not good. And the guy said, what in the hell's wrong with you, Steve? Don't you see the punches? And I explained to him I did. I saw all the punches when they were coming back. The second round wasn't much better. I mean, I'm sure he enjoyed it. I didn't, because I had never been hit that many times. But he was really quick. And in the second round, I came back to the corner, and my left eye was swelling. And it was almost swollen shut. And I said, you got to ice the left eye. I really can't see at all out of my left eye. He said, what do you mean ice it? I said, it's swollen. Can't you see it? He goes, that's not your eye. That's your nose. So before I could say anything, the guy jerked my nose back in. Those of you that had a broken nose, you know how much that you love that feeling, right? And then I had to go out and let this guy pound on me again. And back then, this was in the 60s. Back then, Ali was really in his prime. And he used to, before he did the rope-a-dope, when he got older, he used to be able to cover really well against the ropes. And this kid from Atlanta, that's where the Tri-State champion was from. This kid from Atlanta, he thought he was Ali, so he was dancing around, popping me, peppering me, making me look like a fool. And he decided he was doing that, and he covered like that. And my dad did teach me the bolo punch, where you lock shot and you come. And if you don't have your elbows tucked in real good, you get the clip right there. It's the only punch I really landed. I knocked his ass out. And I realized then, because everybody was starting to get ugly, I noticed the longer they fought, the uglier they got. And I didn't want to get any uglier than I already am. So I said, I'm not good enough to win. And so I quit. But I always admired boxers. And tonight, I'm going to tell you something about boxing, about life. And I'm going to tell you something from my heart, because that's the only way I know how to speak. And I will tell you that what I've observed in a number of decades on this planet is that there are two people equal in talent. But inevitably, one becomes a champion and one does not. You all know that. Whether it's in the boardroom, whether it's in the ring, whether it's on the baseball field, football, it doesn't matter. Or whether it's just life, in a relationship, a marriage, or anything else. Some people make it and they have that success, and others, no matter how hard they try, seemingly always fall short. I'm going to address that in just a moment, but I will tell you that I could not define it, whatever it is. But when you look at a championship heart, and I don't mean the people with belts. You can be a champion without being a person wearing a belt. But when you look at a championship heart, you see it. A champion has it, whatever that is. So a few years back, I decided I wanted to help the cancer kids, and I represented Steinbrenner, and George was always a dear, dear friend. And I told him that the cancer kids really saw the doctors as their enemy. They were taking their hair. They were causing them pain. The chemotherapy and the radiation were really, they were terrifying. And you can imagine young kids, they didn't ask for that disease. And their whole family, it's a whole family disease. Everybody fights that thing, and it's really nasty. So I thought of the idea of giving the concept of making it a team against a deadly foe, cancer. And so the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare practitioners would be on the team with the kids, and it would make them friends and allies rather than enemies and pain givers. And George went for that. And I wrote a book called The Making of a Championship Heart. And in that preliminary stage, I got to talk to Coach Wooden For those people that have a lot of gray hair, you may remember John Wooden from UCLA. He was the best basketball college coach that ever lived. And he gave me some pointers because in 1932 he wrote a book called Pyramid of Success. And he had 6 characteristics that he found, 6, that made people succeed in life. Tonight I'll share with you what I thought were those 6 on steroids. And I wrote a book, as I said, The Making of a Championship Heart, and I identified 18 characteristics that make people have it and become champions. And I want to go through those with you and share those with you because I think that those ideas are well-founded. And I think the more of those characteristics you find in people, the more likely you're going to find a successful person, a champion, a true champion. And so let's walk through them very quickly. At the beginning of each chapter, I would give a quote best defining that particular character trait. So indulge me and I'll give you the quote. There are several quotes at the beginning of each chapter. Preparation. For all the boxers out there and the people that work in the corners and the people who work in the business and the game, you know, it's a beautiful thing, the integrity and all the things about it. So I started with preparation because everyone knows preparation is key to anything in life if you want to succeed. Before anything else, preparation is the key to success. You know who said that? Alexander Graham Bell. You may remember him. He invented a telephone, among other things. Joe Gibbs, coach of the Redskins, also in the NASCAR circuit. A winning effort begins with preparation. I don't have to dwell on that. Everybody knows it. Second trait, desire. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. Not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything. That was written by Napoleon. This is a good one by Confucius. Wheresoever you go, go with all your heart. If you're going to do it, don't leave anything behind. Put it all out there, man. Whatever it is, you only get one ride here. You don't get a practice round. You just get one ride. So go with everything, with all your heart, whether it's love, fighting, anything. Make it your best effort. You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be, anything you set out to accomplish. If you hold to that desire with a singleness of purpose. You may have heard who said that. His name is pretty familiar, Abraham Lincoln. Leadership. The third trait, if your actions inspire others to dream more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. John Quincy Adams, one of the founders of our country. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail. George Bernard Shaw. Leadership is based on a spiritual quality. The power to inspire others to follow. The great Vince Lombardi of NFL fame. Fourth trait, attitude. You've seen good ones and you've seen bad ones. Which one would you pick? Attitude. It's the ability is what you're capable of doing. Motion determines what you do, but attitude determines how well you do it. Lou Holtz, you remember him? Great football coach, Notre Dame. Our attitude toward life determines life's attitude towards us. That was Earl Nightingale. Charles Kettering, a great literist, believe and act as if it were impossible to fail. That's inspirational. When someone asks me, well, if this doesn't work, what? Or Mr. Yerrid, if we don't win this, what do we? I stop them. I go, look, I don't even know the answer to your question because I've never even begun to comprehend what you're talking about. Fail? We're not going to fail. That's not an option. The fifth trait, hard work and determination. You know, it's not about walking. It's about actually talking and then walking. Determine what your fate is going to be and then carry it out. One is no good without the other. So the talk is good, the walk is good, but the talking and the walking, that's the combination. A dream does not become reality through magic. Man, everybody in this room knows that answer. A dream does not become reality through magic. What does it take? It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. You said that? An African American named Colin Powell, a true American hero. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. That's it. Tommy Lasorda, Los Angeles Dodgers manager. Here's Vince Lombardi again. I love this one. The price of success. What is the price of success? Let me define it for you. Hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we've applied the best of ourselves to the task. I've lost 8 cases in my career, 8. And I remember those vividly. I remember them all, and I remember them often. But I hate failure. So the only way I'm even able to tolerate it, because I'll never accept it, is I know I could not have done any better. There may be better trial lawyers, and they may have been able to win, but not this one, because I gave it everything I had. And you cannot ask anyone to do anything more. Do that in life. Many of you already have. 6th trait, confidence. And I'm not talking about, the brazen, cocky, bullshit arrogance. I'm talking about confidence. This type of confidence. We gain strength and courage and confidence by each experience in which we really stop to look fear in the face. We must do that when we think we cannot. Someone once said, you're fearless. I said, no, because I'm not ignorant. Only an ignorant person has the absence of fear. No wise person is without fear. Courage is the ability to overcome fear, not the absence of it. By the way, that quote that I just gave you, great American, Eleanor Roosevelt. Joe Paterno, who was slandered at the end of his life, I remember the golden years of Joe Paterno. I got a chance to talk with him. What a marvelous man he was. I don't know whether he knew or he didn't know what happened to Penn State, but I knew he knew one thing for sure. He knew how to make a champion. And Joe Paterno said this: besides pride, loyalty, discipline, heart, and mind, confidence is the key to all locks. 7th, effort. Be willing to give that extra effort that separates the winner from the one in second place. Jackson Brown Jr. Effort only fully releases its reward after a person refuses to quit. That one's anonymous, but many of y'all have probably had that thought. There's no comparison between that which is lost by not succeeding and that which is lost by not trying. Francis Bacon. Fundamental, folks. 8, challenge. Is there anyone in here that could stand up if I said, is there anyone here that's never had a challenge? No, you would stand up. Life is a challenge every single day. Here's what Dale Carnegie, very, very successful industrialist and businessman in the United States, here's what he said about challenge. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who've kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. And from that, I derive my definition of hope. Hope means believing in something when every conceivable objective fact tells you it cannot be so. Yet you still have hope. That's true hope. And I hope for you tonight that you have a better life when you walk out of here than when you walked in here, just by being around each other. We're all just a little bit richer and a little bit better because we've been able to break bread and spend time with each other. Because each one of us has a treasure. And if you look hard enough, you're going to find goodness in everyone and everything. That's me. I didn't get that quote from anybody. The most glorious moments in your life are not the so-called days of success, but rather those days when out of dejection and despair, you feel to rise to the challenge in life and the promise of future accomplishments. You want to interface that with boxing? Only the rarest of champions have never been knocked down. But the greatest champions Their trait is not a failure to get knocked down. Their trait is an ability to get back up. Life knocks us all down. I don't know of any boxer that hasn't been knocked down, whether it's in the ring or out of the ring, because boxers are human beings. Here's one by Martin Luther King. You may remember him, right? The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenges and controversy. Never stop dreaming. If you believe him, dreams will come true. I've outlived my dreams. I can tell you firsthand that dreams come true. My mom raised me on a secretary's salary, and I can tell you there were times we did not have enough to eat. I share that with you, not poor me. I can buy a restaurant now. No, I share that with you because even then we were rich. She used to tell me she wanted to keep her model figure and buy food and let me eat it because she didn't want to gain weight. It was only years later that I learned that she didn't have enough money to feed us both on some nights. That's a mother. Vision. Oh, sorry. Courage. The bravest are surely those who have the clearest vision of what I have before them. Glory and danger alike, and yet notwithstanding, go out and meet it. Euripides. Robert Ingersoll wrote, the greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart. Quitters don't win, and winners don't quit. Here's one by Walt Disney. God rest his soul. What he gave to the world. Walt Disney, imagination. What he's given our children, generation after generation. He said, all our dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them. I'm not sure about all, but I can tell you most of them do. Perseverance, 10. Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising up every time we fail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. An old Japanese proverb, a lot of wisdom in this one. Japanese are very good at being short, and brevity is often equated with brilliance. Here's the proverb. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Thomas Edison, you can thank him for the lights here. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always try. Always to try, if it's only for just one more time. Vision. I love this quote because this quote comes from a person that lived it, Helen Keller. It's a terrible thing to see and yet have no vision. Stevie Wonder. Just because a man lacks the use of his eyes doesn't mean he lacks vision. Phew, how blind we can be sometimes, right? Malcolm Forbes, pretty successful man. The best vision is insight. Don't look at something and see the package. Look at something and see the content. Black, white, male, female, who cares about that? Beauty, it's fleeting. Not beauty inside, the outside. It wears. 12, integrity. A little used word these days, it seems. An even harder trait to find. But I will tell you, it's the cornerstone of our society. Integrity. Oprah Winfrey. She's not just a great businesswoman and a show personality. Listen to what she said. Real integrity is doing that right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not. That's it. That's the test. Steinbrenner used to do that. I never called him Steinbrenner. I always called him George. But I will tell you, if I was in a foxhole, I'd want a guy like that beside me. That's what he used to tell me, and it was the greatest compliment he ever gave me. John Wooden, the coach that I talked to you, that was actually the precursor of these character traits that I'm giving you tonight. He said, be more concerned with your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are. Again, Martin Luther King. The time is always right to do what is right. Amen to that. Giving back. I've often heard about giving back. I've lived a life and discovered that the more you give, the more you get. Giving is really quite a selfish notion if you want to make yourself a better person, because it actually inspires from within and makes you better. Khalil Gibran shares my heritage on the Lebanese side. He said, you give but little when you give of your possessions. It's when you give of yourself that you truly give. The time you give to people, everyone has the same minute. It's how you use it. And to give that gift of a minute to someone else, what greater gift can you give? There is none. Because the granules of sand are determined long before we were born. And they'll continue to run long after we die. Arthur Ashe, you remember his wonderful mark that he made in society, not just on the tennis court. Arthur Ashe said, from what we get, we make a living. What we give, however, makes a life. That guy had the secret. He knew it. It's not how much, this is Mother Teresa, you may have heard of her, right? It's not how much we give, but how much we love, how much love we put into giving. Good one. Pride and respect, number 14. I'll get through the list, but I swear to you, these are lessons of life that will be with you for a long time. If you keenly and alertly follow these lessons, you'll have a guidebook to a successful, wonderful life. I've tried to follow these every single day. I'm unsuccessful most days, but some days I get it. I get it some days, and that's enough for me. Pride and respect. If you believe in yourself and have dedication and pride and never quit, you'll be a winner. The price of victory is high. It's always high. But so are the rewards. Paul Bear Bryant, University of Alabama. Khalil Gibran again. Generosity is giving more than you can, and pride is taking less than you need. Pride is taking less than you need. This is a former, you thought, was the Secretary of the United Nations when I was growing up. I think he was from Switzerland, if I recall. He had a wonderful gift of looking at life and understanding it. He said, every human being of whatever origins, of whatever station, deserves respect. We must respect each other and respect others even as we respect ourselves. If ever there was a time to do that in this society, the way it's going, it's now. Teamwork, 15. I didn't rank them, but boy, is teamwork important. I started this speech by telling you that I would be nowhere and be nothing if I didn't have the help of others. That's the truth. It's not anything I can ponder or pontificate. It's something that I've lived and I've learned because it's so true. Try it on your own. See how that works for you. And then try it with the help of someone else, or even better, with the help of others. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Think of it. Just think about this room of people and what we could do together. 10 years, and this hall is birthing a tradition and a history and a heritage which will be passed on long after we're gone. The ripples we make become tsunamis in life. Tradition, Henry James. It takes an endless amount of history to make even a little tradition. But you did it. 10 years? Yeah, I think you qualify. I think this is a tradition. Each one of you should be proud. 17. This is one you're going to look at and say, wait, he was doing well, but why did he come up with that one? 17. 17 is perfection. Wait a minute, perfection. We've all heard that. Nobody's perfect. How about this? Vince Lombardi put the spin on it. That's correct. Perfection's not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Shoot high, and you will always succeed in a great way. I'm careful, Michael Fox. You've seen him fight his disease. You've seen him on television, even now doing roles. Well, you don't see him off camera inspiring people that have that same malady. Here's what Michael J. Fox said. I'm careful not to confuse excellence with perfection. Excellence I can reach for. Perfection, that's God's business. The last one I say because I do think it's the most important, which is why they're not in order. The last one epitomizes life to me. As I stand up here and I get somewhat emotional, I get emotional because I think of the heroes of my life. I think of my mother, my father. I think of people that have meant so much to me that are now gone. And I think of Tuesdays with Morrie. I don't know if anybody's read that book, but it's a great book about a young man who's got a Jewish mentor, and he's dying. And Morrie is his name. And the young fellow looks at Morrie one day and he says, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I've been sad all day. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I mean, every day on Tuesday of every week, I look forward to having lunch with you because you inspire me. You make me feel good, and you make me see life the way I'm supposed to. What am I going to do when you die? To which this guy gave a great, great, wise answer, and I would give it to Phil Alessi Jr. tonight. Death ends life, but it does not end a relationship. So the last trait I have is heart. And again, I call upon Ralph Waldo Emerson. Great hearts steadily send forth the secret forces that incessantly draw great events. If you want to have a great life and you want to find out what it is, and you could only pick one thing, it would be heart, at least to me. I would pick heart. Helen Keller again. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Tonight, my heart feels each of you. God bless you and thank you. I forgot the best part. I forgot the best part. When you get a lot, you got to give a lot. Butch, I called Fred Levin, who's got stage 4 cancer. And Fred couldn't be here. That's okay. Fred's had a great run. He's very at peace with himself. Fred couldn't be here, but I got a check from Fred for $3,600 for you to help older boxers and impaired boxers. And I thought the Yerrid Foundation should make that a nice round number, so I rounded up to 15 grand. Here's a check for you.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll get my changes.